Starting video live. We have 0, 1. Okay, we're on.
All right. Hey, everybody.
It's Weight Loss Wednesday, episode 47.
We're getting towards 50 and it's going to be our 1-year anniversary, Kenny.
Do you imagine how long
That's
it's been?
amazing.
We've been doing this. This is good stuff. So, AJ, we have 7 people online getting us started. So, we got some questions.
Able to see us and hear us? Because we always like to have a little...
Colleen is here. Sherry Masser
right. Well, they say
is
they're here, but they need to say, Kenny, here.
Here you find.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you so much for watching and welcome to episode 47 of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ and this is where I answer your questions about healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. Best way to submit a question is through my website, www.eatunprocessed.com. Before we start with the questions, I thought I'd tell you where I'll be speaking this month in case you'd like to come hear me live. And both are actually free, by the way. At least I think the second one is free, the Veg Fest. Well, the first one is next Tuesday, October 17th. At the South Bay Adventist Church. Their website is southbaychurch.net. It's the Best of Nature cooking school. I've been speaking there for 10 years now, I believe, since 2009, maybe 9 years. It starts at 7 p.m. sharp. It's free, but you're always welcome to give a donation. I will be giving a lecture. So will John Pierre, celebrity fitness and guru expert. John Pierre and Susan Jensen, the registered dietitian, will be doing a cooking demo and you can taste the samples. Now it's free, but you have to RSVP because it always fills up to the maximum, which is 300 people, at least since I've been going. So I hope to see you there.
And that's Tuesday night next week.
Tuesday, October 17th.
And
I hope to see you at the SoCal Veg Fest. It's the one in Orange County. I believe it's in Costa Mesa. It's October 28th and 29th. And I won't be speaking. I'll be doing a demo in the afternoon of Saturday, October 28th.
28th, okay.
All right. So you ready? Anybody have any questions?
Oh, they love the dress. It's not a dress.
It's actually a top, and I got it at Costco, and I like it too. Thank you. Yeah, I like the color. I need tops. And thank you so much to Jane. I actually asked somebody, I didn't want to repeat outfits, and I realized that there was one time I wore the same outfit on Weight Loss Wednesday.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you so much, Jane. She cataloged everything I'm wearing so I don't have to repeat outfits. But
so she has what you're going to wear next week, or she's sending it to you?
But the thing is at some point I'm going to run out of
we need
clothes.
someone to send a shirt each week so we have a new shirt for AJ.
Shirt each week,
so she'll look cool and be on top. You know,
absolutely.
she
I'm
has
happy
to
to
stay
promote
hip.
it. When somebody gives me a plant-based shirt, I'm happy to promote it.
Okay, there we go.
So the first question comes from Brooke. She says that she loves the recipes in the 21-day recipe guide that comes with the Ultimate Weight Loss Program. Thank you. And by the way, Brooke, these were tested on regular people. And by that, I mean people that are not only plant-based, but that people that eat sugar, oil, and salt.
The ones eating the SAD diet as well.
Right, the SAD eaters. And so that's how we know they're good. She says she's doing really well with the food, but still hasn't been able to motivate herself to exercise. She wants to know how I was able to begin an exercise program as she can't seem to get motivated. That's a great question. I really wish I had one of the experts here to answer that question.
Who do you think we should, who do you think would be?
I don't know. The person that knows the most about fitness and nutrition is John Pierre.
Well, let's call John Pierre. John Pierre, could you come on
Pierre,
stage and let's get this going?
I'm here.
All right, look who's here.
I have a surprise guest. One of my favorite TV shows was Bewitched, and I conjured him up. He actually lives in Boulder, Colorado. He's going to be in LA for the month of October, so if you need a private consult, he trains all kinds of celebrities like Ellen. You can go to his website, johnpierre.com, and see how he taught her how to do knuckle push-ups on the Tonight Show. So he's awesome. And we're going to answer the questions together today. So
let's get to it.
So she wants to know how I was able to get motivated because I met this guy in March of 2010 at the first Engine 2 immersion in Austin, Texas. That was one of the ways I was able to get motivated because what happened is we were teaching a program together after I met him, that is, called the Unprocessed 30-Day Challenge, which was the precursor to the Ultimate Weight Loss Program. It was very similar, was a little bit more flexible, which is why it didn't work so well, with especially people who are food addicts. And one of the things that we did in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program and Unprocessed is we encouraged people to eat at least 2 pounds of vegetables a day, 1 pound raw and 1 pound cooked. And then when we saw the efficacy of vegetables for breakfast in January of 2012, we suggested that everybody do that, and nobody wanted to because they were used to eating their cake, aka oatmeal and fruit, or having a very sweet green smoothie.
Cake.
Yeah.
And everybody resisted. And I said to them, well, you don't have to like it. You're an adult. You just have to do it. So then when he started teaching with me, he wanted to incorporate fitness. And I said, because I was like 52 then, I had escaped exercise my whole life other than jumping to conclusions, And he said, well, you have to exercise. I said, but I don't like it. And he said, do you know how ridiculous you sound? This is what you tell the people. He goes, you don't have to like it. You just have to do it. So.
Sure. So first of all, let's get rid of the term exercise and just let's use the term movement. So what your body really needs is movement. So it doesn't matter if it's walking or dancing, house cleaning, biking, playing tennis, whatever you want to do, as long as your body's moving. That's the first thing we need to do. Second of all, start thinking about sneaking movement in your life. So you don't necessarily have to do an hour in the morning. That's good if you do it, but my challenge is if you do an hour in the morning and then you have 23 hours of sedentary living. So you're sitting on a couch or lying in a bed or sitting in a chair. That's problematic. I'd rather have you moving throughout the day. So one of the things that helps is get a pedometer. And I just have a cheap $10 one. Mm-hmm. I also have a Fitbit, but they're all the same. And you just want to get an idea of how much you're generally walking for the first couple days you use it. And then once you get an average, then you're just trying to beat it every day. You're just trying to sneak a little bit more movement in. We'd like to see about 10,000 steps per day. That's our goal. The Amish men get about 18,000 steps per day. So when they calculate that. So 10,000 seems to be a decent number, but it's not a magic number. Don't worry if you're at 8 or 7, just as long as you keep improving, okay? The other thing you want to do is keep some exercise gear around the house. Mm-hmm. So exercise bands, some weights, some cans of beans. When you go into the kitchen, before you start making your food, do a set of military presses or a set of curls. When you go into the bathroom and you're done using the toilet, close the lid and do 10 squats and 10 reaches. So if you do that throughout the day, you'll be sneaking in lots of movement, okay? The other thing is think about taking a class or doing some movement with a friend. It always is better, like with AJ and I, we can go walking in the forest with the dogs. That's really fun. Nobody thinks of it as exercise. We're just having fun walking the dogs.
And look, you got Kenny exercising
Kenny's
right now
always
behind
moving.
the camera.
So that might help you a little bit there. The other thing is also remind yourself the reason to move. What's the purpose of movement? So what do you move for? Why do you do weight training now? What's the purpose?
Okay, well, because I'm almost 60 and I want to prevent osteoporosis. A very dear friend of ours who is vegan has it, and she, although she was a walker, she never did any strength or resistance training.
For upper body.
Yeah, and even though she was slender and in what I would think of as good shape, at least from a cardiovascular standpoint, not from a skeletal standpoint, and now she has lost so many inches and she's getting like these spontaneous compression fractures, and she's in so much pain. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, now I'm ready.
So your motivation is obviously for health, right? Not vanity. It's for health.
No, because I already
and just let us know how long ago that was.
2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
Kenny was here for
what?
When she noticed this 2 weeks ago.
But we just also started with our mastery program.
We just started
exactly.
So we have weights in almost every room. I put up Post-it notes in the rooms for her to remind her.
I can show them my vision board if you want.
Yeah, you can go ahead and get your vision board. We'll switch. Okay. So anyways, here's the thing that's important is that you have a reason why are you doing it. So the reason AJ's doing it is look at her vision board.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's not vanity, even though their pictures are probably nice, but she wants to get strong and powerful.
Wow.
So when you see that, or she sees it, it helps motivate her to keep her in that direction. So when you feel a little unmotivated, you look at this and you realize, wow, I really do need that strength. I don't want to have brittle bones. For other people, it may be vanity. Other people, it may be weight loss, whatever. But you have to make sure you have that reason. Use that as your leverage to get you to move.
Right. And I know for me, I think when we met, I really did have a broken knee. You know, I was
you were in
one
of those wheelchairs.
And so I really couldn't exercise at that moment. But when I was able to lose weight without the exercise, so you can lose weight without exercise. But what research is showing is that as far as maintenance, you can't.
Yeah.
That it really becomes very important. When I read that, I was like, well, gosh, I don't want to gain this weight back. But the other thing that inspired me to exercise is everything I read about food addiction. And it said that exercise can actually rewire the brain to help you overcome addiction in general, and it can actually prevent it in the first place. And so that was the reason that I started exercising and the reason I stayed exercising, and now I'm pretty much, I don't want to say I'm addicted to it, but
I'm kind of addicted.
Yeah, I mean, if I don't get it, I really feel cranky and I miss it. So
well, most of all the addicts that I've worked with, drug or alcohol and food, of course, once they switch from that addiction, they have to find another because they need that high. So we switch them to exercise as their high. Now, the main thing you have to do is if you switch to exercise as a high, you better make sure you do it safely. Because what's going to happen if you get addicted to exercise and then you get hurt?
Then you can't exercise. Then you got nothing. You got to go back to the other drug.
To the addiction.
Right,
so you got to do it slow and steady, kind of like taking steps up the stairs.
Right. So I found that exercise is actually easier than the meditation piece. That's the one.
Yeah.
With the strength training piece is the hardest. But Brooke, one of the things I did when I started exercising is like the people that won't eat vegetables, and I tell them to eat the vegetable they hate the least. I chose the exercise that I hated the least at first, which for me was gentle yoga and walking.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Rancho La Puerta as a speaker the first time in 2012 and was exposed to every kind of exercise, Tabata and HIIT and TRX and you name it, and Pilates, I realized that, spinning was all right. I could do that. It was not, I couldn't hurt myself, and it was kind of fun.
Yep.
And so I picked the exercises that I hated the least. And actually now I don't hate them at all. I really like them. The other thing I did to fool myself is that like JP talks about having the equipment around the house.
Yeah.
So I always, not only did I lay my exercise clothes out in advance, if I knew I was going to take a 6 a.m. spin class, I actually slept in my workout clothes except for the shoes. And I prepaid for the class knowing if I didn't show up, I was going to lose my $18. And the other thing I did is I enrolled a buddy.
Now that's the smartest thing.
Melanie, yeah.
Because if you do that, you've got the pressure to get out of bed because you know your friend's waiting for you.
That's what I did.
So that you did everything right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
And so you can do the same thing with the food.
Absolutely.
You really can. We really are big believers in having a buddy or an accountability partner. We don't know exactly how to match people up in ultimate weight loss. They often generically find each other, but those are all good ways to get motivated. If you ask me, why do you want to do it? It's just brain benefit, bone benefit. Cardiovascular
endorphins,
benefit.
immune system.
Yeah, there's just so many
Of course,
reasons.
just self-esteem alone. The main reason exercise has nothing to do with weight loss. It's self-esteem. It's you just feel better when you look better and you're stronger and you have more endurance and coordination.
Dr. Lyle talks about how weight and self-esteem is often inversely correlated with, especially with women. The higher the weight, the lower the self-esteem. But when you exercise, especially first thing in the morning, you do raise your self-esteem.
Absolutely. So great question.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Brooke. All right, so we get this one a lot. It's so fun having you here. Maybe you could be like a regular on the show. So Lynn says that she saw my talk from the McDougall Advanced Study Weekend from Fat Vegan to Skinny Bitch. You guys can see it on McDougall's website or YouTube. It's a really good talk. If you think I have like this great life and I'm this skinny bitch, you'll realize where I came from. I encourage you to watch it. It's 43 minutes. She said, and what she noticed is how every time I gave up fat in my diet, starting with the oil, then the nuts, the avocado, and the seeds, I kept losing more weight. She says that she thinks the high-fat plant foods are contributing to her inability to lose weight, but she's afraid if she doesn't eat nuts, she'll be missing out in vital nutrients. What say you?
I'm going to let you say it first because we might have a little bit of a disagreement, a different take on it.
Right. So here's the thing. There's a few things. I'm not telling people not to eat fat. I'm telling certain people not to eat certain types of whole food fats if they're a trigger food for them. And first of all, I'm telling everybody not to eat oil, whether they're vegan or not vegan or young or old.
On that.
I mean, all the plant-based doctors agree on that. So I'm not. No one needs to eat oil. It's a highly processed food. It takes 16 ears of corn to make 1 tablespoon of corn oil, 44 olives to make 1 tablespoon of olive oil. It's nutrient poor and calorie rich, 4,000 calories per pound. So I don't think anybody needs or should eat oil. So that's the thing. So here's the thing. We do need fat, but there is fat in pretty much every whole food. Even fruit has, I think, something like 1% of the calories from fat. Greens about 3%.
Depends with fruit too, because an avocado's a fruit.
Oh yeah,
durian's a fruit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
olives.
Yeah, absolutely. And oats have something like almost 20% of their calories from fat, which is why I think our people always gravitate towards the oats in the fruit because they want the fat and the sugar together, which is interesting. We talk about how sugar, fat, and salt don't exist in nature, at least not in any concentrated forms, right? Yeah. But they're never together. You notice that? Like what everybody likes. People when they say they're sugar addicts, I don't know too many people that are just addicted to gummy bears, and that's their only problem. It's always the combination of the sugar with the fat, or the fat with the salt. Right. And in nature, it doesn't ever come together. Ever. It's not possible. No. So I always thought that was interesting when I heard that. So
I don't hear many people eating cherries with celery. Get that salt. It's not fun.
Okay, so what was the question?
Exactly? So she's worried if she gives up nuts, she'll miss out on vital nutrients. So the first thing I say is, that's not necessarily true, because especially if you're eating seeds, because I think all the people, Jean-Pierre and Brenda Davis, say that seeds, even Dr. Furman, seeds are actually healthier than nuts.
Oh yeah, flaxseed for sure. Get flaxseed whole and then grind them in your blender and then store them in the freezer or refrigerator. and you could start out with a quarter teaspoon in your food because it's very high in fiber. So seeds you won't be generally addicted to. Nobody's really addicted to ground flax.
Right, or chia seeds.
Yeah, or chia.
Unless they're using it to make some kind of fancy pudding.
Oh yeah, well,
you know,
exactly.
Those,
So
right.
those would be fine for you. And remember that nuts and seeds are about one of your only good sources of vitamin E. So it's a very important fat-soluble antioxidant. And of course, the main reason that we would want you to eat seeds is for the omega-3s. So you can get them with other greens, especially purslane. You've had purslane.
How about
before.
selenium? Getting that Brazil nut a day or whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what you do is if you're going to use a Brazil nut, you blend it up or chop it up in the grind, just like you would flaxseed, and then you sprinkle it on your food. You won't generally have an addiction to it.
Oh, okay. You
Mash
get
it
addiction
into
by just
potato-
eating it.
Mash
Okay.
it into your potato and stuff.
Speaking of purslane, I have my receipt in here. One of the perks in living in Los Angeles is that I can get 2 bunches of purslane, which is called verdolago in Spanish, for 99
unbelievable.
cents.
It's a weed.
This stuff is amazing.
What does it taste like? Can I have one?
So it's super
So-
high in the
oh my
omega-3.
God,
So
it's
if you
delicious.
didn't want, for some reason, to have nuts or seeds,
It's
you could
really
do
good.
purslane. Most greens you'd be getting, which would have some good fats in them too. And where I would maybe caution you is not everybody, just to be fair and honest, converts what we call the short chain omegas to the long chains like EPA and DHA. So in that case, sometimes we have people take an algae supplement. Because when people eat fish, they think, oh, fish is high in omega-3, but they don't realize it's because the fish has been eating algae all the time. So there is your final option that you could have. You don't need to have any animal products or fish to get those omega-3s.
Right. And the thing is, if you're really worried, there is a blood test that can tell you the amount of omega-3 fatty acid in your blood. It tells you 3, it tells you 6, ALA, DHA, EPA. It tells you your conversion. And I had that test a long time ago, and I actually this is when I was eating nuts. I really wasn't that good. But, I eat so many vegetables a day, especially things like purslane, sometimes up to 4 pounds of vegetables. I had the blood test done a couple months ago, and I was not only normal, I was normal high. So I'm still not including nuts. It's been about 6 years. If it happened that I needed to include a fat source in my diet, a plant fat source, I would go to seeds for sure. And I would probably go to chia seeds over flax seeds. I don't know why, I just feel like I would. Hemp seeds are good too. The thing is a lot of people in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program are food addicts, and nuts, especially when they're nut butters like the tahini and the peanut butter and the almond butter, they can be real trigger foods for them, and they cause them to overeat. And so in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, we feel if you're coming to the program overweight, you are not going to become fatty acid or nutrient deficient in the 21 days that we ask you to avoid all of them, just to neuroadapt.
Yeah.
So we got a question. Lydia wants to know, she's told that she needs to eat before working out. I usually work out at 6 a.m. and eat a banana and then go. Is that okay? She doesn't want to feel like she's burning out.
Well, you don't need to.
She's done fasting beforehand, but still she feels like...
you generally have enough. If you've filled your glycogen reserves in your muscles, in your liver, you'll have a couple hours worth of energy still. So no, you do not need to eat before you work out. If you choose to, it's up to you. I know you definitely do not eat. Most of my clients do not eat before they work out. What I do suggest they do is make sure they're very adequately hydrated. And if they do need to eat, I recommend that they have a juicy fruit. So it's something like watermelon or cantaloupe that immediately is being, broken down, and it's basically a liquid. So you're not sloshing around
Not
all
a
this
banana.
fruit. Yeah, well, I mean, it's up to the person. It's an individual thing. So.
And juicy fruit, not like juicy fruit gum.
No, juicy
Okay.
fruit. And the thing is, just so you know, from a physiological standpoint, you do not need to eat if you want to.
People think this. People say their trainer said, I have to eat protein before my workout. I got to eat protein
I
after
think it's
my workout.
after they say that. But when someone else was talking, you mentioned EPA and DHA and the omegas. Is there a supplement that you recommend to take?
It's on my website. So if you go to
Say what your website is.
livingwithharmony.org, that's my animal sanctuary website, and then there's a shop. You click shop. We don't sell any of the products. They're just affiliate links. So it's all the products you see on that page. Every single thing you see there, I use. And I use for all my clients. And you use a lot
tell
of
them about Living with Harmony and how, if just by making their regular Amazon purchases, they can help your nonprofit organization.
Yeah, so I'm actually out here fundraising for my animal sanctuary, trying to start an animal sanctuary and a retreat center so we can run ultimate weight loss retreats there, bring AJ out, probably maybe even live there part of the year, AJ. And then I work with the teams that rescue children from trafficking. So that's what our organization is about. And if you go to Amazon Smiles and choose us as your charity, Living with Harmony, and we're in Boulder, Colorado, then what happens is we get a percentage of any time you order from Amazon. If you don't do that, Amazon just keeps all the money. Everybody should be doing Smiles for some charity. If it's not mine, pick some charity. But ours is Living with Harmony. All my recommendations are on there. Well, I'm adding new ones all the time when I get volunteers to add them, but the EPA and DHA are on there.
One more question, since we talked about eating, what we should do before working out. What should we do after working out? Should we add
important.
something more to our diet right after we work out?
Well, it depends on what your goals are, and it depends on what you just did as your workout. So if you just did some easy, light dancing or maybe yoga, it's not that big of a deal. But if you did hard, strenuous muscle breakdown, then it's important to get things like sweet potatoes and legumes in your diet because you want that carbohydrate in there, and then you also want to make sure you're getting good protein. So beans, peas, lentils, those are still good carbohydrates, but adding that sweet potato in is good because all the antioxidants in the sweet potato help with the damage that occurred to the muscle, and those carbohydrates then fill your glycogen reserves for tomorrow.
Just want to say, last week somebody asked, well, how do we share these videos? And you can share them right now during the live broadcast, because if you're watching it, you're on the page, and if you look right under the top, there is something called the share button next to the comment button, and you can share it right now if you like, and we appreciate that.
Share it,
Put those
please.
shares, put a couple of hearts across, maybe a star.
Right.
I didn't even know that. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And folks, the more that you share this information, the more not only you building your network of people that can support you and you can support them, but the more we're lighting candles of other people. And when they get healed and healthy, they'll light other people's candles.
Because we want to live our life like a candle.
Well, there we go.
A candle in the wind. And again, we will bring this group that we have of our narrow UWL from 1,800 to 3,600 and 18,000.
And remember too, the ultimate weight loss program that we have is a very, very tight community. I'm not sure how many of the folks are with it,
right?
But I mean,
we encourage them to join. A lot of people have joined because of watching this
broadcast.
broadcast.
Good. Because one of the main things that I've heard over and over again is people say, JP, when I bought the program, it was great information. You and AJ, phenomenal. But they said once we got on the boards for free, you're not charging. We're not charging.
One-time fee.
They said it was worth 10 times its weight in gold because you have such a community of people that are always there supporting you. Sometimes it brings tears to my eyes when I see how these people support one another.
Me as well. The gift of this and seeing this and talking to people outside is amazing. It's really amazing.
Love about it.
Yep.
This is this is a good question, and I've gotten variations of this, but I like this question from Allie. She says, "Hi, Chef AJ. Hello. I eat the same way you do and have for a couple of years. Some people have accused me of being orthorexic, and I'm starting to believe that they may be right. After all, I'm afraid of oil and processed foods. I know that once I start on it, I won't stop, and it will make me feel sick. Thoughts? Do people say you're orthorexic? I just know that I can't have that stuff or I'll binge and feel awful about myself. Is that so bad?" Would you like to go first on
I'll
this
let you
one?
go first because
okay.
it's a very interesting question.
So I don't know if people have accused me of being orthorexic like in that term. That's a term that not everybody knows. It's a clinical term, and is it in the DSM or we don't know if it is actually?
I think maybe now.
Might be considering people have accused me.
It's kind of like body dysmorphia. Those things are being added all the time.
I hear extreme. The word I hear a lot is I'm too extreme in my eating. So I guess that would be the same thing. And I think about the quote from Dean Ornish which says, I don't, that we do things in this country like crack open people's chest and take veins from their legs and put them in the heart, and that's considered normal, routine surgery. But we call eating a low-fat vegetarian diet extreme. So when you're in a world where 3/4 of the people are overweight, half of them are obese, I think anything that isn't going to make you be one of those people is going to be considered extreme and therefore orthorexic. So, you talk a little bit.
Well, I think honestly it comes down to the person who's saying that their level of knowledge and not making a judgment is generally not that high in what they're talking about with nutrition. It'd be like if somebody said, I have to wash my hands before I eat dinner, and somebody said that's kind of extreme. Do you know what I mean? Where you go back in time, they didn't even wash their hands before they did surgery.
Right.
And then it was found out that was one of the main things that was causing leading disease
and death.
And death,
especially in childbirth.
And so then when physicians were talking about washing your hands, they were outcasted. They said you're a lunatic.
Or Semmelweis was his name, and he was
They thought that was a lunatic. So it's just because those physicians didn't have a level of knowledge. So when people hear us talking about whatever we're promoting, eating 2 pounds of vegetables a day or 3 pounds or eliminating oils, it sounds extreme to them, but it's only because their level of knowledge isn't that good. It's kind of like to a child, it may sound extreme to you to lock your door before you go to bed, right? Something like that. It's like, why do you have to do that? Well, they don't have any knowledge of it's a good safety precaution to lock your door. So it's just the people don't have any knowledge of it.
I think that when somebody is an addict, anything that doesn't include the addiction is extreme. So, for example, if somebody was an alcoholic or somebody really liked drinking and you didn't drink, well, to them, that's kind of extreme, not drinking, you
Yeah.
know? And so these foods that and by the way, we don't restrict any. This is what I get. How about they say our program is so restrictive? We restrict nothing. We eliminate. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
We eliminate the foods that are going to make people fat and sick, that cause disease and foster and perpetuate food addiction. We don't restrict anything because the foods that we recommend you eat, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, all the foods to the left of the red line, and certain foods to the right of the red line, the high-fat plant foods, if you can include them, we don't restrict.
No, because I eat those foods.
Right, but what we do is eliminate. We eliminate the disease promoting addictive foods, and so if somebody's an addict, anytime you eliminate their addictive food, you're going to be known as extreme. Also, when you think about it, of people that lose weight, only 2% ever keep it off, which means that 98% of the people that ever lost weight gained it back on. Now, you generally don't travel in groups of 100, which means that you would have to be in a room of 100 people for 2 people to have kept their weight off. And so if you're somebody that's healthy, think about it. The chances of your tribe or your group, unless you're in ultimate weight loss at any given time, being health conscious is very slim. And the thing is if you change, that's even worse. People, if you were raised like Dr. Goldhammer's family, people would probably accept you and not say you're extreme. I don't think they get that family. That like people are calling Dr. Goldhammer or Dr. Furman, who eats this way, orthorexic. But if you've changed your diet and now you're getting healthy and they're staying sick, well, status, they feel like maybe you're looking down on them, judging them, and so they will resort to name calling. And
I just want to say Karen Butler's here, and she says she likes extreme. She wants extreme health.
Right, exactly.
That's great.
And when people say, "Oh, but if they eat their way, if they eat the way we recommend, they'll feel deprived." You will be deprived. You're going to deprive yourself of heart disease, diabetes, food addiction, autoimmune disease. That's what cancer.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because when people tell me that they feel deprived if they can't have something, I say, do you know most of the people in the world are drinking, a good portion of them are drinking dirty water, eating contaminated food with flies and maggots, and you're complaining that you can eat all the fresh fruits and vegetables you want, all the whole grains you want, right? You can eat all that you want, tubers, beans, peas, and lentils, and you're complaining that you can't have your Oreos or your marshmallows. I mean, it's kind of being a little disrespectful, I think, to what we do have. I think we should focus on the good that we do have and be grateful that we have that, and not keep searching out for more and more highs, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for bigger and bigger highs. That's all.
That's addiction.
Yeah. And the one thing that's extreme is every 33 seconds somebody having a heart attack, and a good percentage of those people, almost half, die at their first heart attack. And then the other people are having surgery. That's pretty extreme. You have your heart, your chest opened up and having surgery. That's extreme.
I mean, there's a wonderful comedian named Ralphie May, morbidly obese. I think he was like 45, and he just died of a heart attack, So there's a test online. You can Google this. There are tests to see if you're orthorexic. So just for kicks and giggles, I took it. And it didn't say 0, but it said that I may have a slight predisposition to this. But again, who are the ones that are naming this disease? Like, is it the dairy industry, the meat industry, the processed food industry?
Well, but we do get a lot of people in our program that have eating disorders that come in.
Right.
So they already have an eating disorder.
Yes.
We seem to be helping them contain that and manage it.
Right.
So,
if you're allergic to peanuts and you don't eat peanuts, are you orthorexic because you're extreme? See, to me, when somebody calls me orthorexic, I would take it as a compliment, because that means I give a shit about my health. That's what orthorexic means to me.
Well, look at somebody like Heather. Would somebody say that she's orthorexic after she's lost how many pounds?
Almost 300 pounds.
Almost 300 pounds. So is she orthorexic?
They would probably say so.
Well, God bless her.
Yeah.
If she has, because God bless her for what she's gone through and what she's overcome.
And what's interesting, who asked the question? Allie. So, as I always say this, when I weighed almost 200 pounds and smoked cigarettes and ate fast food, nobody said a word, right?
Yeah.
But the minute you start getting healthy, God forbid you should lose weight, then all of a sudden everybody is a nutritionist, So I think it says more about them than you. It's like that old childhood thing, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. When they criticize you, it's really, I think it's because they feel bad about themselves, because they could never do what you're doing, because let's face it, very few people will ever be able to climb this mountain.
Yeah, they actually have statistically a better chance of curing themselves of diabetes or heart disease.
Or stage 4 cancer, Dr. Goldhammer says, than ever losing weight and keeping it off.
And someone mentioned here about your video today with Dr. Furman. I think we should mention that everyone should watch that.
Sure, it's on my
today.
Facebook page. I did a wonderful interview with Dr. Joel Furman based on his new book, Fast Food Genocide. If you really want to see how quote, harmless, these foods are.
And watch his commercial before and his little video he did.
Oh,
It was the
cute.
animation. It was really good.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and remember too, the diet that we're recommending, we recommend more than a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Lifestyle.
But the diet that we are recommending is being recommended by the top plant-based doctors in the world.
It's very similar.
I mean, it's-
I mean, yeah. So we take out the addictive substances that foster food addiction, the sugar, flour, and alcohol. But and it is SOS free because it's based on the True North diet: sugar free, oil free, salt free. So I guess we're orthorexic together. This is my orthorexic.
Good
buddy.
question though, Allie.
Yeah, thank you. Rochelle says that she's been following my YouTube and Facebook posts for around 3 months. Thank you. I'm curious to know how you found me. I truly appreciate the information you freely share. I'm 5'10" and 138 pounds, so weight loss is not my focus. Although my body image is a daily battle as I have been suffering from bulimia off and on for 4 years. Freedom from food addiction and disordered eating is something I desire, and I'm wondering if others like me have found success with your Ultimate Weight Loss program. I go to your website often, contemplating joining the UWL program. I'd love your
Oh my
feedback.
gosh. I mean, it's like life-saving UWL.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have so many people who are bulimic in the program. And one of the main things that everybody says that I hear all the time is now that I've been in Ultimate Weight Loss, I have a calm, stable what?
Brain.
They all say the same thing. Calm, stable brain. They don't have these highs, this bipolar. It's like a dietary-induced bipolar, a high and a low, a high and a low. So, absolutely. I mean,
If somebody had a different eating disorder, if somebody had anorexia nervosa, I would not recommend
No,
them
not
join.
anorexia.
We did have 2 people kind of slip through the cracks because they didn't have photos of themselves,
Yeah,
and
right.
we didn't know. And he does, Dr. Lyle says they're not appropriate for our group, but JP
Yeah.
does not want to kick people out. We've never done that. So if you have anorexia, especially active anorexia,
Yeah.
it's different if you've had it in the past, like me. But if you're currently anorexic, please don't join our program. Please consider working with Dr. Lyle on that. But yeah, as far as bulimia, binge eating disorder, yes, so many people, myself included. I'm
Yeah.
not currently binging. I haven't had bulimia since 1985. I had it for 6 years from 1979. After 1985, it's often a result of some type of restriction. We get a lot of people in Ultimate Weight Loss that came from a weighing and measuring program that never had an eating disorder, but the restriction of the weighing and measuring caused them to start binging and become bulimic. So we do get a lot of people that have that, that currently have that, and we also get a lot of people that aren't overweight. So I know it's a crazy name for a program, Ultimate Weight Loss, because
we battled that out.
yeah,
right?
he wanted to
talked
call
about the name.
he wanted to call it the Love and Compassion Program, and we didn't think we'd get anybody joining. And so the name is the name, but it's so much more than that because UWL stands for the Ultimate Warranty for Life, or your ultimate way of life. And so we get people joining that are doctors and nurses and dietitians just because they want a like-minded tribe. Not everybody in Ultimate Weight Loss is overweight or has ever been overweight. People like Leslie Stein, who does that wonderful Facebook Lifting with Leslie,
right.
and Sharon McCrae, who's a food coach in Maryland. So we have
Look at
people.
Kristen Bummer now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing.
She's
amazing
Beans
athlete.
Not Bambi. So we have a lot of great bloggers, Nutmeg Notebook, Tammy, Heather from Butterfly Effect, Healthy
Everybody.
Vegan Weight Loss. So we have a lot of people that are no longer overweight that they maybe come for weight loss, but they stay for the community and they want to be with people that actually eat like them. And that's what was
Right.
the most powerful thing of the Live Ultimate Weight Loss Conference in Vegas.
Oh.
You guys have like 11 months to start saving your
Yes.
pennies, and because we're going to do another one. And so yes, we're not psychologists, so we cannot necessarily help you with your bulimia, but what we can do is help you with the diet style that's going to make that either go away or dial down. And one of the things is the restricting is often what perpetuates it or leads to it, and especially the restricting of starch. And we've done a lot of interviews
Right.
with Dr. Lyle where he talks about that. And he's done a lot of interviews, most recently about the cram circuitry, which he talks about this night eating and this night binging. But yes, it is the right place for you if you want a tribe of like-minded people, and many people are active with binging or have actually healed that.
Well, and also, where else can you go to get constant information about movement or exercise, essential oils, supplementation, right? Vision boards, focus, laser beam focus. So it's far more than weight loss. I mean, you'll rarely ever hear me use the term weight loss ever, unless somebody's talking about weight loss, and I'll just say it in a sentence. But I don't use that term because this program is just getting you healthier. That's all.
Yeah.
And the main thing is it's getting you to boost your self-esteem.
Yeah,
That's the main thing.
What's interesting is the way we propose you eat is the same way Dr. Goldhammer's been teaching his patients for 32 years.
Yeah.
And Dr. Goldhammer's never been overweight, to my knowledge, or suffered from food addictions. It's just really the healthiest, sanest way to eat. Kenny, you have a
So we have
question?
some questions. Some people are talking about exercise. We have the expert specialist here. Is there someone is saying they have loose skin? What do they do with it? They want to get rid of it, make it like loose on their legs or whatever their butt. Is there some exercise they can do to help this up? Someone else asked, what other exercises can I do? Is there a website we can go to or somewhere we can learn to get some of your training?
I have 2 websites. So johnpierre.com is my website. You'll see me. That one has me training Ellen on there. So you'll see me working her out and her staff. And then my first book, The Pillars of Health, has tons of information on movement, and it shows physical exercise.
Right.
My second book, Strong, Savvy, Safe, that has also exercises in it too. But in getting back to the question about loose skin, the loose skin can bounce back if you're young enough and you haven't lost your elasticity. So the younger you are, the easier it is to tighten up. And then the more you work out and strength train, the better chance you have also. But there is no magic potions and creams. To be honest with you, when I've had clients that have lost, some clients have actually lost 400 pounds, getting over more than Heather even, actually.
That's amazing.
They had, I think it was about 30 to 40 pounds of skin. So they had to have surgery, and their physician, though, said, because they were young, it was remarkable how taut their skin already was, because they were young.
Another question was, again, this lady's 70, so there's some
good.
hope to just doing a little more exercise a little more often, maybe? Or I'm not,
My background's in geriatrics, so 25 years.
Guys, even if you don't live in LA or live in Boulder where JP lives most of the year, you can still book a private consultation with him. You can get it on my website. It's $75 for 30 minutes at eatunprocessed.com, and you can do it FaceTime or phone.
Yeah. And my email, I'll give you my email. It's foods, FOODS, FORLIFEJP at Yahoo. So feel free to contact me there.
Yeah.
But when you're 70, the main thing you have to be careful of, is it's already happened, is retirement, because there's nothing worse than retiring your brain and your body. So you want to be doing some sort of balance training for sure. And the most important thing you could do other than that is strength training. Because once you get into B40, you're dramatically losing strength and muscle all the time. You constantly have to be working on strength. It's almost like if you had a hole in a boat and you're bailing out the water. If you don't bail it fast enough, you're going to go down.
Why do you think, at least this is my experience, maybe it's not yours because this is what you do for a living, partly is the fitness, it seems that it's a little bit easier to get people to eat healthy than it is to exercise.
Well, I mean, exercise, one of the main problems is people have an idea what exercise is. They think it's going to a gym and drudgery. And many times people have anchored the word exercise to when they were a child and they got picked last in gym class. If people would just change the term to movement and fun, it would be a lot better. Go to johnpierre.com, watch me training Ellen, and see all the fun stuff that we did and see everybody laughing and smiling. And nobody thought of it as exercise. They thought it as playtime.
Say October 17th at 7 p.m. to see both of us speak. We're both going to be at Hilton Head, South Carolina on November 9th through 12th, both speaking. JP will also be doing a boot camp at the remedyfood.org, Benji Kurtz's amazing conference. He is probably one of the best, if not the best, conference producer
Excellent.
we've ever been hired by. And Hilton Head is just an incredible destination resort, and you can buy the whole weekend, you can buy 1 day, you can buy 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, you can buy your meals, don't buy your meals. So we hope to see you there. There's going to be some great speakers there like Dr. Colin Campbell and family and just so many, too numerous to name. Dr. Doug Lyle also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we have one more question.
Okay.
And this question, we recently got a similar question in the mastery program from someone, but I get a variation of this question probably every day. And when I was interviewing Dr. Furman today, people were typing variations of this question. So it's a good one, Marissa. She says, she saw I was speaking at the OC Veg Fest later this month and wants to attend, but she is early in her recovery. Well, I'm actually not speaking, I'm doing a demo, and you're welcome to join me like you did last year. That's October 28th, Saturday. She says she's early in her recovery from food addiction and worries that she will be triggered by all the hyper-palatable vegan crap and wonders if she shouldn't attend. And if she does attend, should she bring her 8-year-old daughter to expose her to the vegan message, but who will also be begging for a cupcake the whole time?
That's a vegan crap there.
Kind of two parts.
And you
of
know,
the same
you
question.
you were and I won't mention which one, but you were at a Veg Fest where you got on the stage and you said that most all these vendors were selling crap.
Right. I actually got kicked out of the Boston Veg Fest 7 years ago. It was at the year on Process came out, 2011. I was so excited because I was told that Boston, like Portland, is one of the absolute best Veg Fests. It's certainly one of the biggest. And I gave a culinary demo on, I think, Saturday, maybe a lecture on Sunday. And the organizer came to my talk on Sunday because she had heard good things from the people. And it's funny because I had a booth to sell my book, and I was right next door to somebody selling olive oil. And I didn't, and what I don't understand is, I've been vegan for over 40 years, so obviously I'm an ethical vegan. You've been vegan for over 30 years, so
33.
So we're ethical vegans as well. But what we're trying to do is put the veg back into vegan and vegetarian, because at these Veg Fests, there is not a single thing that either of us could eat, even if we wanted to eat. And so when I went to the Boston Veg Fest in 2011, I kid you not, there were 7 cupcake vendors. Now, I understand that there maybe needs to be some vegan junk food for transition, and that's fine, but maybe make a balance of it. Maybe have a cupcake vendor and have a smoothie vendor or things like that.
But they don't make money in the other stuff.
Right.
They only make money in the junk.
Absolutely. Well, so there were all these vendors. So on Sunday when I spoke, I said, thank you so much for having me speak at the Boston Cupcake Festival. And the organizer took offense to that, and she asked me to leave. And I said, well, I'm sorry. I couldn't leave right then, but it was really kind of interesting. And I'm surprised even when Veg Fest asked me to speak, because I don't want to bash Veg Fest because they have such wonderful information. And what's interesting is this is what I don't get, is that there's one thing when they have the vegan street fair where it's all vegan junk food and there's no scientific lectures. But at the Veg Fest, they always have the Dr. Esselstyn speaking and the Dr. Greger speaking, who are telling you not to eat the crap, and yet that's all they're serving. So I could see how a person could get confused.
I agree. And first of all, I love the lady who runs that Veg Fest, the Boston one. She's a great lady. But the thing is, you have to understand, to defend some of these groups, is if they didn't have those people, they wouldn't be able to have the show because they couldn't pay for the event. So it's actually those booths that unfortunately are paying to keep the event going so they can afford it. That's the unfortunate thing, because you're not going to have a broccoli vendor there.
No.
So no one's going to make money. So, it's kind of your but to get back to our question, in my personal opinion, and us working together in Ultimate Weight Loss, I don't think it's a great idea at all, because if you have an addictive personality, you have addictions, every booth, in other words, every step you take at these events, it's just going to call your name.
Especially because they almost always offer free samples.
Well, of course. But not only that, you're smelling it, you're seeing it, you're reliving all those fantasies in your mind. And as you always say, that is going to be banging on your brain. Just banging all the time. So it's not worth it. Now, if you did go, and we do have somebody in Mastery who is going to be going to one of those events, and I recommend that she does the essential oil protocol that I talk about. Use green powders to make sure you alkalize your palate, and pre-eat for sure, enough starch, and go directly to the lectures and avoid the best you can those booths.
Absolutely. It's the thing about the kid asking for the cupcake. That's interesting because, Dr. Furman was talking about that, about how it really is, the onus is on the parents to eat healthy.
Sure. Because
then the kids will eat healthy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's the kids, they actually would eat healthy and they want to eat healthy, but the parents are so addicted to this stuff that they say, oh, well, they would never eat that. But it is hard, and this brings up a whole nother topic or subtopic about the deprivation that people say, well, if they this is what I hear even from the gal in Mastery, is that if they go and don't imbibe, then they will feel deprived.
Look at Sharon McRae's kids.
Yeah, well,
look at Dr. Goldhammer's son. There's lots of people that raise their kids without addictive substances.
Right.
So.
And I've interviewed them, and none of them feel deprived because we're not telling them they can't have treats. I mean, Sharon's youngest son, Evan, just turned, I believe, 15, and she made him a cake.
Yeah.
But it was made out of sweet potatoes and some dates.
What about dates?
Oats.
I mean, just popping dates left and right, or dried mangoes, or dried raisins. Those are so sweet you get a cavity practically.
So one of the things I notice is that when people go to these kind of things, or it doesn't even have to be a Veg Fest. We're not bashing Veg Fest, but we're saying if you are somebody who's a food addict, especially early in your recovery, and you go somewhere where hyper palatable food is served, the food that you're not eating because you're orthorexic like the rest of us, is I find that even if you can white knuckle it with or without the essential oils and get through the event without eating that cupcake or that veggie cheesesteak or whatever, is that you really actually kind of do feel a sense of deprivation, not necessarily for the food, but that everybody else gets to eat it, And so that what happens is you go home, and a lot of people end up binging on other stuff in their house because they felt deprived.
Well, imagine if your kids came home and they said, look, I was at a party last night, everybody was doing heroin, everyone was snorting cocaine and drinking tequila. I felt deprived because you told me I'm not supposed to do drugs. So what would you say to your kids?
Well, here, have some now.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to share. Don't be so rude.
But it's just interesting to me that that's the word that they use so much. I mean, they've said that to both of us. You know, that they feel a sense of grief, loss, not just deprivation, but like grief when they give up sugar.
Well, then you know what I'd say? Eat all the sugar you want, and we'll see you in a month when you're all up depressed about it.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't want to have a revolving door client. We want you to get to where you need to be and get going. But they're going to just keep coming back. It's like a revolving door.
You know, it's funny because we talk about this a lot in Ultimate Weight Loss about eating at restaurants, and I've taught people very successfully how to eat at restaurants. Now, I've known JP for 8 years, and we've gone to restaurants together many times, including the top fine dining restaurant in Vegas that makes SOS-free food, and he didn't eat. And he didn't eat because he happened to not be hungry at the time. And I have tried to be.
It was late.
It was late too.
Yeah.
It was past. But I've tried to be more like JP. I'm a little bit still more of a people pleaser than he is. And in 2016, I was able to get through the year with only 2 restaurants. Twice, and this year once, and all 3 times, believe it or not, it was because Dr. Lyle was in town and I wanted to be with him more than I didn't want to eat at restaurants. I've told my husband no for his birthday and for our anniversary. But what I find is that even though there are some non-vegan restaurants where you can get vegan food now, and I've worked with 3 of them, the chances of having it be wrong is great.
Right.
I mean, we
It's
even with these reputable places,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say which one or what thing, every time there has been somebody in the party that's accidentally gotten some meat or cheese in their food because they don't often take the vegan thing as seriously, even if you can get no oil. So that's one problem if it's a non-vegan restaurant. But if it's a vegan restaurant, I find that it's harder to get healthy food at a vegan restaurant without sugar, oil, and salt. It's always the junk food.
Yeah.
Whereas like at a steakhouse, which I don't want to really support, but I could get a baked potato. It's very hard because a lot of the vegan restaurants will not make any substitutions. But for me, as a sugar addict in recovery, when I walk into the vegan restaurants, what's the first thing I see when I walk in? What's the first thing?
Cupcakes.
Right. I see a bakery case. I'm a pastry chef in recovery. So before I even get to my table, while I'm waiting, I have no choice. There's nowhere else to sit, I guess, except outside. And I've got to look at the Hostess cupcakes and all the things that I can't have anymore. And even though I live my life not in a state of deprivation, but in a state of joy about how delicious my food is, I start looking at that and I start thinking, well, maybe one bite won't
It's a
hurt.
trigger.
And that's even at Real Food Daily.
That's the restaurant I was talking
Oh
about.
my
Because that's the
gosh.
restaurant that I actually eat at when I have to eat out because they will give me an SOS-free meal called I think it's called the Real Meal Deal. But then the thing is since I'm not dining with UWL people, I have to be satisfied. And again, when I say have to be, like at home, I'm very satisfied with a sweet potato and broccoli or vegetables and rice.
Right.
Very satisfied at home. But when I get that same meal at a restaurant, there's a couple of problems. One, it's not enough food for me, the way I eat, in accordance with the principles of calorie density. So it's very expensive if I need enough food to feel satiated that meal. But while I'm eating my quinoa and steamed vegetables, which I could enjoy at home, I've got to sit there with somebody eating vegan pizza, vegan cheesesteak, vegan lasagna, ordering their hot fudge sundae vegan, and then I actually kind of do feel a little, not deprived, but then I start thinking, well, poor me, why me? I can't have
I think the bottom line is if you're a food addict, it's no.
Yeah.
If you're not a food addict, I mean, I can go into any of those restaurants and look at it.
It doesn't bother you.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't set me off at all. In fact, I could eat something with salt or sugar or whatever and just get on with the day.
Yeah.
But if you're a food addict, that's not you.
That's why we don't recommend blogs for the most part. Not
Oh, no.
Kristen's and Tammy's. Those
No.
are great blogs, Beans Not Bambi and Nutmeg Notebook. But for the most part, most of these blogs are hyper-palatable food porn.
Yeah.
And if you're a food addict, and especially if you're trying to lose weight, they can just...
Set you off.
You can get the dopamine flowing just by looking
Oh,
at the
yeah.
visual images.
Absolutely.
That's why I unsubscribe from every magazine,
Yeah.
all the veg ones.
Let's just say that again, hyper-palatable food porn. We're getting close to wrapping up here. We have one question I think JP wants to answer about essential oils that can help in weight loss. Is there something of that sort? Someone's mentioned that?
Not so much for weight loss. I don't really
Or just
believe
help sleeping, maybe?
No, what there is if you go to my site, it's mydoterra.com/John Pierre. There's the oils that I recommend. And the one that I recommend, there's 2. I recommend clove or peppermint. And if you put a drop of clove in a little bit of water and you swish with it for about 45 seconds and then spit it out, you pretty much aren't going to eat because it's going to numb your tongue. A lesser degree would be peppermint. Same thing, 1 drop of peppermint, water, swish for 45 seconds, spit it out. It's enough to distract you Okay, you've had it before. You've done essential oils before, and you couldn't eat.
No, it's just like going to the dentist.
So that's one thing you can do. You can also use green powders, and we talk quite extensively about essential oils and green powders on our Ultimate Weight Loss Program. So we do have more information there, and there's some in my book, The Pillars of Health.
And he says our Ultimate Weight Loss Program. I should have said this at the beginning of the show. This is my other half. So when you join Ultimate Weight Loss, you're not just have the ability to ask me questions all day, but you get to ask him questions all day, and we both support you. So it's me. Yeah. It's called Chef AJ and John Pierre's Ultimate Weight Loss Program.
And Shada's just asking, what is JP's website for doTERRA?
Oh, sure, thank you. It's mydoTERRA, so mydoterra.com/John Pierre.
Maybe somebody could type that in. And while you're typing, why not share this broadcast right now with
Yes.
all of your Facebook pages and friends? Because if we can get to a certain number, we can have some really great things happening with this show.
All right.
And we're almost at episode 50. Woohoo.
Well, we're excited to have JP here for the first time second time on Weight Loss Wednesday. And this has been a really good episode.
It has been.
We have to come to an end and make all good things come to an end. So we're about there.
Okay.
And our studio audience is going to be on screen in just a moment.
She was sleeping during this week's
So,
episode.
here we go.
So one of our messages also is for compassion. I wouldn't have had this dog if it wasn't for JP, because I went to go get a puppy that was 3 weeks old. And he said he'd never talk to me again unless I got the oldest dog at the shelter that day, who happened to be Bailey. So you have to thank JP for you coming to live here, you little princess. Remember, please don't breed and buy while homeless animals die. Adopt, don't shop. So thank you so much for watching episode 47 of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ.
And I'm JP.
And we both truly believe you can have the health and the body you so richly deserve. Thanks, everyone.